Hi, my name is Ashley, and I'm here to teach today about have and the present and the past and whatever of how to conjugate have and how to use that in your daily life. So I have my student here, Fabio. He's big, he's pretty hairy, but he is here to learn about to have and how to use that in the English language, because English is his second language. So I have my handy whiteboard. So to have looks like this. To have. And now I can conjugate it, so you can see how it's conjugated in English. We have all these different versions of using have. So you could say, I have. See? I have. And then the more complicated version is the he or she use. So pay close attention to this one. So for he and she, they will be about the same, but it will be different. To use the present of have, you will change the he, she, because it is just one person that you're talking about. It is going to be has. There you go. And so then the last couple I'll show you of how to conjugate is the they and we. And those are talking about two people. And so they will be very similar to talking about I have. And they will be they have and we have. All right. And so it's important to remember here that because you're changing the verb has here, it's because you're talking about these two different people, but you're talking about that one person. Because you're talking about yourself or you're talking about more than one person, then you will use the word have. But you have to change the word have to has. And that's very important. So throughout this lesson, I'll continue to share more about this and kind of how that applies. So now we'll talk about the negative forms of have. And so when you change the negative, like a sentence in English using have, you wouldn't change the word have, but you would change the word before to don't. So I'll show you. So on that example I gave you of I have, if you were to use the negative form of this, it would be I don't have. See? So it's like the same English, but you're changing the sentence as itself to negative, still using that verb have. And so we'll continue to do the same for the next couple. But just like before, the he, she will be more complicated. So I will show you they and we first. So they, you would also use don't to make it negative. So they don't have. See? They don't have. So it's still using the same as I don't have, but talking about they, the people, don't have. And just to give the examples of what these sentences even mean, you could say, I don't have cats. I don't have stuffed animals that look like lions. Or they, talking about other people, more than one person, they don't have blankets. So now we'll talk about the we have, but the negative form. And it would be just like the last couple I just showed you. We don't have. So we don't have. And so with that one, you can see you're talking about yourself and one other person, right? So if you're going to use this sentence, you would say, we don't have talking lion stuffed animals, right? We don't have blankets. So there's that. And now we'll go into the more complicated, the he, she has, to make it negative. And so instead of using don't, we're going to be using a slightly different form of don't to express that negative form of has. So he, she, right? So we'll say he. And the negative form of don't, what would you say that is, Fabio? What would you say the negative form of don't is? Oh, he doesn't have an answer. So he's saying that don't is doesn't. So he doesn't have. See? He doesn't have. And the same will be she doesn't have, right? She doesn't have. And so if we're talking about he or she doesn't have, so I guess an example of he or she doesn't have, like she doesn't have a flag, he doesn't have books. So it's still using that word have, but it's making it a more negative sentence on the present tense. So does anyone have any questions about what we just went over? Perfect. So now I'm going to show you the past of have. And so actually in this form, it won't be exactly as have, right? So because it's going to be talking in the past. So what would you say the past of have is from previous knowledge, Fabio? Correct. So the past of have is had. Right? So we got had to had. Or sorry, I didn't even write that correctly, right? Had. Okay. So the to have becomes had. That's very important to notice in this lesson. So if I was going to change some of these sentences, right, or even like our beginnings, it'll look a little different. So instead of using have, you would say I had. Same beginning of a sentence, but you're now talking in the past. So I had, right? And then what's nice about the past is it's not making the he and she difficult. It will become difficult, right? But for here, he, she is going to also be changed to had. So make it a little easier on you. And also the they and the we will be changed to had. They had, we had, right? There we go. So now we just changed the conjugations of have to had for I, he, she, they, and we. So now our sentence will be a little different because now we're talking in the past. All right. So if we're going to look at the different forms of, like if you're using I had, then the sentence would then need to be changed that I don't have, right? So using the past of don't, what is the past of don't, right? Like, gotta think about this. So to use the past of I had, right? You would say I didn't have. That's making now the past a negative. Just like we were doing before with I don't have. This is now the past of I didn't have. So even though this had to change because it became a negative, if we were to say I do, right? So I didn't have will make this still a past sentence, but making it negative. And so if we were then to go to the he, she verb, right? It's going to be the same. So actually the past makes it a little bit simpler to understand the English. So he, she, he didn't have. She didn't have. And also they and we didn't have. Just to make it a lot more easy on new learners who are learning English. So look just like this. I didn't have, he didn't have, she didn't have, they didn't have, and what would you guess we didn't have is, right? It's going to be the same. So just to make this crucial, if you're learning English, this will not change because negative will make it the same. But to know how to talk about past and present, this will change. So I hope this helped. If you have any questions, you can talk to me after class. Thank you.